Hi, welcome to Miss Richardson's U.S. History 5-Minute Lectures. This information will be U.S. Notes 1.11, Jacob Riis and Upton Sinclair. It includes information aligned with the second section of your study guide. Remember that you control the lecture. You can pause the video whenever you need to, write down any questions you have and bring them to a class, and rewatch it as often as you need. And, of course, use your study guide to take the notes. Now let's go ahead and get started. In the last set of notes, I talked to you about muckrakers and their impact on progressive reforms. These journalists and authors brought attention to the issues, working to gain public support so that reforms could happen. There were many muckrakers during the time: Ida Tarbell, Lincoln Steffens, Nellie Bly, just to name a few, but I'm going to focus on two that I've already talked about in class: Jacob Riis and Upton Sinclair, both of whom wrote books to gain public support. In 1890, Jacob Riis published his book entitled How the Other Half Lives. This book focused on life in the slums, the areas where poverty was rampant and everyday life was a struggle. Riis did not only write about the lives of the people living in urban poverty, he included photographs of the people, allowing the rest of America to truly see what life was like in the tenements. We will look at some of these pictures and information from Riis's book in our class, so you can see the extent of the poverty in these areas. Riis's overall goal was to expose the conditions of tenements and to gain support for reforms. He was successful in gaining reforms in housing codes and building regulations, helping to create safer living conditions for the urban poor. However, he failed to gain support to eliminate slums completely. The other muckraker I want you to know more about is Upton Sinclair. I also will share excerpts of his book, The Jungle, with you in class. The Jungle was written in order to expose the mistreatment of immigrants in America. Sinclair wrote a fictional story, but based it on real events and individuals. This story followed one Lithuanian family from their immigration into Chicago, their attempts to find housing and jobs, their struggles with poverty, child labor, abuse, corruption, robber barons, and unions. Sinclair failed to gain public support for the immigrants and their problems. He did manage to gain support for changing living conditions, which did indirectly help the immigrants. However, he was most successful in changing another area of American life. Though his goal was to gain support for immigrants and their plight, he actually succeeded in gaining changes in workplaces. While his story followed the immigrant family and their jobs, it exposed the problems with the meatpacking industry in Chicago. Americans read the deplorable conditions in which the food was processed and wanted change. Public outcry spread as far as the White House, where President Teddy Roosevelt read the novel. Due to this eye-opening experience, Roosevelt created the Pure Food and Drug Act. This act set requirements for clean food processing and packaging. It improved food safety for all Americans, not just immigrants. The novel also exposed unsafe working conditions, some of which added to the food safety issues. For example, if someone was preparing food and got cut and bled into the food, before the jungle, the worker would keep working and bleeding. This food would be packaged and sent to stores for consumption. When Americans heard about this, they were concerned about their food. This meant that they pushed for safer workplaces because safer workplaces led to safer food. Now you know a little bit about two of the famous muckrakers of the Progressive Era. These men and their writing changed America in ways we still benefit from today. While they may not have succeeded completely in their goals, they did change some aspects of American life. This is the end of Notes 1.11. I hope you learned something from the 5-minute lecture, and I will see you in class with any questions that you have.